We're fortunately gathered here with Franck to celebrate and kind of highlight Black History Month here at the University of Washington. It's a very interesting experience for all of us. We're able to highlight so many different stories, so many different athletes, and kind of hear their takes on what their experience has been like as a Black student athlete, as a Black person in society. And
so, when you go to the cookout, what's the first thing you put on your plate? Personally, I have to put the mac and cheese on the plate first.
Definitely mac and cheese. Yeah, mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. Or some other side. I don't know.
Cornbread.
Ooh, hey, I was gonna say that.
That's
I
a
don't
good
like the
one too.
cornbread.
Wait, what?
Oh.
What? Why?
I don't know. I had a white mom. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't grow up eating that barely, okay?
Or greens.
Candy yams.
Yum.
So we're thinking Thanksgiving. This isn't just a cookout. I don't have
I feel like
That's
every
at the cookout.
I've never had yams at a cookout unless it was Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yeah.
Missing out.
There's ribs. I mean, I'd usually go for the ribs.
That's the second thing.
Second thing,
Okay.
yeah.
That's valid.
What was your transition like to UW?
I'd say for me, I came from a smaller school, so it was, the transition here was just a lot more intense, I guess I would say. I mean, even for my sport, like competition-wise, and then meeting people, I didn't know anybody here, so
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough that I had my teammates, obviously, but this community really helped me build my own skills as far as like making friends and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I would say, like, I know you and I are both transfers from California schools, and I think I'm already from here, so I thought the transition would be easier than what it was, just because I am a 206 kid, but I think transferring is hard in general, just like having to establish like new friendships again, especially as like an upperclassman. Like, you're not coming in with your freshmen, you're coming in with like people who have already have their established friend groups, so I feel like that was really hard, but I feel like BSA was a big part of like what made me feel welcomed here, for sure.
I think for like my transition, well, like my high school, like personally, I feel like a lot of people like wanted to be popular or wanted to be like the funny person, and like just like coming to like a larger institution, like nobody actually really cares about like what you got going on, and it's nice to just like be yourself and not have to worry about other people at the university.
My transition, I wouldn't say it was necessarily hard, but I was homeschooled for like most of my life because of gymnastics, so like coming here, it was kind of like a shock almost, just because
So many people.
Big school.
Yeah.
so many like classrooms, like
Yeah.
just so much stuff. But I do think like being involved with BSAA helped my transition be a lot smoother.
Yeah.
It's just like I was able to make friends like so quickly in that, and like meet different support staff that I feel like I probably wouldn't have met as early on if I didn't have BSA, so.
Yeah, I kind of like want to touch on that, just like the resources that they give us for like academics, like just having like academic specialists, like it just made it so much easier just trying to transition into like this new different type of coursework. And then like Deiah said, just BSA, being able to like find people who are like me and build that community and be able to have you guys like for my whole 4 years here was really nice.
And after.
Oh, yes, facts, yes. Say that, Deiah. No, I was also just going to touch on that, too. I think coming from a team who was predominantly African-American and then transferring to a team that was predominantly white, I feel like that was a big shock for me. But it wasn't, like, a bad thing. It was just, like, the reality of it. And so I think having the resources that BSA offered, like, you know, I met you guys, and I feel like you guys changed my whole experience throughout UW. And yeah, so I think it's just important to like find community within your university and understand that like there are people just like you, like, but you actually have to like put the energy and the effort to like seek it. And I feel like we just assume that we're gonna get these friendships right when we step on campus, but it's like you actually have to pursue it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not just gonna fall in your lap.
Right.
So.
Like, that kind of, like what you said just leads us kind of to like the next question, like what has your experience been as a Black student athlete? And I think you touched a little bit on that. Like I also like definitely agree, like coming from somewhere like that had predominantly like students of color, like on like my track team, and then coming here to a predominantly white track team, it hasn't like been hard, like not like hard, but it does make you a little bit more comfortable like when there are other like student athletes like you. And so being able to have like BSA and have that space where like there's so many different student athletes and like we're all like Black student athletes, it just like helps like having the community.
So I was born and raised in Yaoundé, Cameroon, which is West Africa. And you know, most of my childhood, was living in community with a big family, cousins and uncles and all that. So I always grew up in a very tight community, tight niche growing up. At a young age, I moved to the U.S. and started going to school here. So I think, at a young age, when you move by yourself and go to a boarding school, that's when it's really hard. That's a community, it started really starting to hit you a little bit, started to miss a little bit home and homesick. But over the years, I was able to surround myself with a good support system that have helped me to find community. And even more so here at the University of Washington, where coming here and meet such wonderful people like you that always, have their arms open to welcome that community, to make you feel accepted, to make you feel welcome within that regard, whether it's having cookouts, whether it's having different type of event that make you involved in the community a little bit so that you feel less alone during the ups and downs of what it takes to be a student athlete.
Now, how important is community for you then? Because I know the Cameroon, it's a French-speaking country. Do you find community also through language, or is it mainly just looking at the color of people's skin?
I think it's a little bit of both. Whenever I'm able to cross paths with somebody that speaks French, obviously it's just something that clicks a little different. I'm able to speak and using different French slangs a little bit that, automatically you see that connection that you guys have, even if you just met that person. But also just community within also kind of share experiences of, other people, especially my Black people, a little bit more, be able to have some shared experiences. We go to life all together, facing the same challenges, and the same success. We all were here together and support each other. And I think in sport too, it's easier to find community because, whenever you, for example, you go out and then break out in PRs and many different events, I'm able to find joy, to see you succeed in that because, I also know the dark hours that you put in.
That's true. I think one of the things I've learned about finding my community, my background is Nigerian German, but I've grown up in the UK. And my community's always been a Nigerian British infused community, kind of like an infusion of both. And the way describing growing up how I did is it's almost like an embassy. Like you walk outside, you're in London, but then you go home and it's a Nigerian household, Nigerian lessons, and it becomes even more enhanced when all the cousins are around and we start speaking Pidgin English. And like all the parents know how to speak Pidgin, we understand it because we know when we're told off, we're usually told off in Pidgin. We'll hear stuff like, oh yeah, come here now, and stuff, and we know it's about to go down. And so it's like those kinds of lessons have really, grounded me to where my roots are. It's important for those elders to pass it on, and a month like this, Black History Month, is an opportunity to celebrate it, and so.
To follow up on that, actually, I know for us, food is big. Food is probably the closest things you can, make you feel like the home away from home. Especially kind of here, how do you able to, find places where you find community, where it's to go to food spot, whereas I know we have went to found a couple places that have really good freaking food to kind of get that connection going. But
I think for me it's a situation of firstly finding your clan, your people. West African food, I think in Seattle specifically, is kind of hard to come by, but when you find that joint or that place, you stick to it. I know a couple in Seattle like Bantaba, Pass the Jollof. My favorite one is Gold Coast Gal Kitchen. They be taking care of me real good. And it's even more nostalgic because they import stuff from Nigeria, like super malts. They'll bring some Chapmans over. And so if it's a place you want to try and expose yourself to kind of West African cuisine, it's a place to definitely try out. And so it's quite special.
Where did you find your community and what did that look like?
I mean, I would say BSA, but I feel like the trip that really kind of like solidified my friendship was the Black Student Athlete Summit from 2023. I feel like Kalea and I were both roommates, and so her and I got to gel, excuse me, like on that trip really well. And then I met Deiah, and we were able to, chop it up, and then it kind of just like our friendship just like gradually got stronger. And
I feel like ours too definitely started from that summit.
No, it definitely did. I think that whole experience was just amazing, but I think being able to be like in such like an intimate space with people who look like you, I feel like that was just such a big like a big part of like my experience here at UW. And yeah, so I would say like I'm grateful that BSA like allowed us to have that opportunity. So yeah.
I would agree with that. I've been going to the summit since my freshman year, and I feel like each year that I go, like I come out with closer connections with like new people that I probably wouldn't have met if I didn't go on that trip. So I think that's like super cool and a super cool thing to get to experience. And I know not every institution like offers that, especially like a PWI allowing you to like go into a space where you can like connect with people that look like you and like kind of have the same experiences. So.
Like at the summit, like I knew who like Radisson and Riley were, but like not until like we got to the summit and we're like not like forced to like hang out with each other, but like just put in that space where like all we like can do is talk to each other. Like now I've like built super good relationship from that. Like me and Riley, like we talk like every day. And so it was just nice to like have a new best friend out of that. Raddy, I do Bible study with her like every Monday now because like the summit allowed me to have that connection with her. Like we were roommates. And so it was just really nice that I was able to like meet her. And now I'm like meeting all these people in Bible study with her as well. And that's also like building my community.
I wanted to move to a different question. It's kind of surrounding the idea of how we celebrate Blackness today. Is it just, does it have to be a month? How do you integrate Black history into all parts of society, and so then everyone can appreciate and understand its richness?
It's a great question. I think Blackness, especially in my opinion, is celebrated throughout the year. Whenever I see my counterpart, whether it's still going to, like I said, touch on success, celebrate the success, even challenges, be able to be there for somebody else during a moment of challenge is a way also kind of celebrate that Blackness, because in a way, especially me, I've been here in this country for so many years that I'm able to almost be a chaperone to someone that's a little younger than me and maybe going through those experiences for the first time where they just moved 2 years, just play college ball, so I'm able to kind of help them a little bit how to put how to carry themselves first in this world a little bit, and just so that you can have a little sense that they're not alone. I think that's the most important. I think the way that I celebrate Blackness is just kind of emphasize and make sure that everybody knows that they're not alone. They're not out here alone by themselves. They have people that they can reach out to, they can talk to, send a message, a DM, reach out to.
Yeah, no, I know it's very true. I think the celebration of Blackness is, it's the appreciation of the achievements that have gone on. Making it to the States, being successful in the States is one thing, but also acknowledging the shoulders that you're standing on, I think for me has become a really important thing, especially as I've grown older, from musicians and artists who've pioneered the way for Afrobeats, from like Fela Kuti to now Burna Boy, but then, the James Baldwins, the Frederick Douglasses, all of these leaders who've, through their authorial techniques have published works that, highlight the struggle of Black people, but, now we're able to stand strong on their shoulders. And so that celebration becomes even more important for me because it's an ongoing process. Celebrating Blackness doesn't stop in February. Yeah, it doesn't stop in February. It pushes on, and so just acknowledging that and seeing the authors, seeing the writings being published everywhere, I think becomes even more important. I wanted to kind of take it a bit deeper now. We're both Black men. We've passed that turning point of being 21 now. What are some of the realities that are faced of Black men in society, globally?
I would say the big one is that we represent our family, our lineage. Those like me as a Cameroonian man, like I represent, my tribe back on where actually my family's from. I represent now, beside my family, now also represent the University of Washington, and with that, it comes with a big burden, like a lot of weight, because you have to carry yourself in a good manner on and off the court, which is one thing that I just hear by meeting people like you that I've seen and kind of look up to, just based on the way that they carry themselves in the community and the position they decide to take on community on top of the, whatever the requirement of sport and taking on, it's inspiring. It's kind of paving the road of how we should conduct ourselves as not only student athletes, but also as just black men in society. Yeah. And like you said, we passed the age of 21 now it's almost the adult world a little bit. So it's a little thing. So now the mind is not so much of, I gotta go to college, I gotta graduate, thanks. I got my degree from University of Washington. Yeah. So now it's about, okay, now how can I keep doing the work? How can I keep putting my foot in the right places so that I can have a long-lasting legacy here, whether it's the University of Washington or throughout the world in general? How can I make an impact? How can I ensure that the next generation after me having less challenges that I had, or making the way just a little bit easier, so that they can find success on the right way?
Yeah, no, I think it is as much a privilege as it is a burden to be a black man. I think that comes with a lot of stigmas and stereotypes, and it's whether you choose to accept those and those become a part of your identity, or you push against them and grow from them. I think I've learned along the way the importance of keeping family together, but keeping culture strong and tradition strong. That means almost having like one foot in Nigeria, another foot in London, but also keeping my hands in America, because that's where I'm situated at the moment. And it comes with its pressures, having to constantly be adaptable, having to be very focused on the goals you want to reach, and knowing that finding success might be that little bit harder. The glass ceilings might be a little bit lower, so you're gonna have to crash through a couple more. But it's acknowledging that and making those, just breaking through them every time, and just being able to reset after every time and have your floor elevate with you. I think it is hard being a black man in society. That's undeniable. It's a constant fight because you never quite feel like you fit into places. And the same can be said about women as well. But it's something that becomes a little bit easier and palpable when you have your community, because I'm sat with somebody as strong and as powerful as you who demands a phenomenal presence and has it. And I feel very sober in that. And I know that we can grow together as a result of it.
How have you guys navigated your experience as a black woman on campus? I guess for me, I'm in white male dominated major, and so as a black woman, I feel like I really have to get my foot in the door and take advantage of all the opportunities that are presented to me, and I feel like I've done a good job of that. And I'm just I don't want my voice to be diminished as a black woman, so I've been trying to be very loud and very in everybody's face in a good way, just trying to get my message out there.
I feel like that's the only way you can kind of find your voice is you have to fight for it. As sad as that is, as black women, nothing's given to us, whatever shade you are. Nothing comes easy. So I think just understanding that, and but I think that just makes you a lot stronger as a woman at the end of the day, knowing that you have to fight for everything that you have, and you should take pride in that at the end of the day. But yeah. What
do you want people to say about you in the history books, in the future? What mark did you make?
I would say I want to be someone who served others well and loved them well, regardless of what color you were. I honestly hope that anyone who's ever had an interaction with me felt like home, they could be themselves. And I feel that's the biggest thing. I feel especially being a follower of Christ, I know God put us on this earth to serve others and to love others well, and I feel that's the mission that I'm trying to pursue. It's not gonna be perfect, but that's at the end of the day, that's what I want kind of my testimony to be.
What I want people to say about me in the history books, just living in a world like with like oppression and inequality, that I did everything I could to like help mitigate those circumstances for like people like me or people even not like me, that I just fought for other people as hard as I could and did everything I could.
I would also say just like not being afraid to walk into rooms, being authentically you. Because I feel like as a biracial woman, I've always felt like I've needed to, yeah, like kind of, like whenever I'm with like my Black friends, like I never want to feel like I'm using a certain type of verbiage that like makes them call me names, like, oh, you white girl, like stuff like that. Like, so I think once I've gotten like older and like more mature and I've like educated myself, like it's okay to just be who you are, and like the people who are for you, like they're gonna stay there, and the ones who aren't are gonna fall off. And I feel like with BSA, like I found a good group of people, especially on the board, but people who come to like the meetings, like seeing like how many other people look exactly like me, or like as far as like background and things like that, like that was so special for me to know that, oh wow, we're actually really alike, and that made me want to be more like myself. So I feel like, again, like community is so important to find.
Speaking about the ideas of pressures and, you know, dealing with, you know, having to be a strong figure for our communities, how do you take care of yourself in those processes to make sure that Franck's okay at the end of it?
I think that, in order to take care of just myself, so that I can always be my best self whenever the lights are on, whenever the lights are not on, you know, little things like meditation. I believe that the stronger my relationship within myself, the healthier the relationship within myself is, the better I can come off, whether, you know, whenever I'm playing, whenever I'm in class, whenever I'm just walking around meeting people, right? So I'm really, really big on learning more about myself, taking care of my mental and spiritual health, because obviously you can kind of help handle the pressure of the game, the pressure of just carrying and being a leader in the community in general. But ultimately, just all the little self-care too, that, you know, that the routine that you do in the morning, you know, the routine that you do at night. But also, like you said, make sure that I don't forget about my community. I don't forget about my family. Whenever it's to have good food, when some good West African food I can have is one way to kind of recharge, regenerate. Found other African that also migrated coming over here, that went to school here, or I just meet throughout the course of life. Yeah. I try to keep those relationships as tight as possible, because there's not many of us here. So whenever you can find a brother or sister there, I think it's really important for me to kind of keep that relationship tight and cherish it, really, like you said. Because then you'll be able to have a healthier relationship not only with your culture, where you grew up, but also a healthier relationship about the future and what you're heading to, and also other culture that you able to embrace, you know, as you kind of move forward in life and carry on. But how about you?
I think for me, it's acknowledging that I'm a work in progress, just like society. That there's various steps that we all need to take, whether it be lateral or forward, they need to be taken, so then we learn in the processes. And there's steps that I need to take as well. And by acknowledging that I'm a work in progress, it gives me room to grow. It gives me room to make mistakes. It gives me room to go backwards. As long as I know which path I want to head down, it allows me to be a little bit more comfortable and vulnerable in myself. And I think as well, where I find self-care is really leaning and utilizing those relationships I have, from the strong women that have supported and got me to where I am, but also the strong men who represent the man I want to become in the future, acknowledging that there are a few gaps and spaces that still need filling to make the holistic whole Jami. But just, I always remind myself I'm a work in progress, and I have to keep taking those steps forward, just as society has to. And, you know, as long as you can figure out where you stand within that whole process, you feel a little bit more comfortable in yourself and comfortable in the position you're in. And I think it's a healthy place to be. It gives us room to move forwards always.
No, for sure. I think it's also important to remember that, one, you know, we pressure, most of the time we feel pressure because, you know, our fear of losing. You know, we're all competitors or athletes. We never want to lose, want to win everything, right? But I think it's And in life, and that goes to in life, you always want to be winning in life. You never want to have setbacks. So but I think it's important to acknowledge that failure is just bound to happen no matter what. It's one of those things that you cannot control, or hard time is something that you can never control. So for me, to kind of handle that, the whole chaos around just living as a black male student athlete, or the pressure, just being a leader in community, just give myself some grace, sometimes. I feel like a lot of time we put a lot of pressure, and obviously I put a lot of pressure upon myself. So just kind of reminding myself to give myself grace, to remind myself that failure is not the end of the world, but it's an opportunity for growth. And which is something I really, really trying to own up to. So whenever I see a failure, whenever I fail in something, acknowledge it, process it with the right way, whatever way I need to process that. But also then is, okay, this is an opportunity to grow right here. Okay, where can I grow here? What can I do better? Yeah. So they kind of help me shift my mind from down on myself because of challenges or hard time to, oh no, like, that just opened the door for me to be better at this place. And then kind of just seeing yourself higher places, seeing yourself, your best self always. I think for me, one thing is really big too, is just always kind of trying to see my best self. Everything I do is always toward that best self, whatever that may be, whatever is physically, mentally, spiritually, just always trying to get there. Yeah. And everything along the roads, all the potholes, crevices, whatever happened, it's just all part of the process, like you said. Just kind of remember, it's just work in progress, keep moving on.
And even I feel like, even if like you are being authentically you and other people don't accept you, like literally don't even like give a second thought to that. Just charge it to the game and go about your day, because like you don't need extra stuff to worry about as already a student athlete. So just worry about the things in your life that just uplift you.
Period.
Yes.
I would say something that I wish I knew going into it was just to be more vulnerable with those around me and allow people to get closer to me.
Yeah.
And I think also, as far as building our community, I think it's important for you to, when meeting somebody, if you already have an idea about them or whatever, but just try to see something in them that you can relate to yourself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you do that with people that you encounter, you're more likely to relate with somebody on a personal level, or just asking them curious questions and trying to get to know them more.
Yeah, genuinely. Yeah.
I think for me, it would be like, I think coming into college, I felt like relationships would just like kind of like form and like build themselves. So something I wish I knew is like you have to like work for that kind of, and like put yourself in uncomfortable situations to be able to build those like really, really good relationships.
Definitely.
Like BSA, for example, when I first heard about the meeting, I was like, I don't know.
I know, same. That was me too.
But if I didn't go, then like obviously I wouldn't have met you guys and like Sheridan and everyone on staff, and I feel like my whole college experience would be different. So
Definitely.
I think just like, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations to make like real meaningful connections would be.
Definitely.
I know, I remember like Deiah and I talk about this all the time, but like the first like impression I had of her was like she was just really quiet. But I think like you have to like open people up sometimes, because I feel like, oh yeah, ratty tat.
Freaking crip walking. Like, don't even get me started.
I know. No, but I feel like there's like a stigma around like athletes, especially Black athletes, that like we're just not approachable sometimes. And I feel like I've gotten that like so much. I don't know if it's
you look intimidating,
like,
and stuff like that. Like
I'm like, okay, like maybe I'm just sitting there just enjoying having
face.
dinner. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You caught me on a bad day. I'm sorry.
I'm not
No, but I think like when you actually, like you said, like take a risk and put yourself out there and be vulnerable, like you said, like you miss out on so many possibilities of like, what if I had that relationship? Like, what if I would have just walked over there and said, hey, I really like your hair today? Or like, just like sparking some type of conversation in any type of way. I feel like that will open so many doors that you probably would have never imagined, to new connections. Not like networking, but just like genuine connections, you know what I mean? I feel like that's how I built a lot of my friendships here. Just saying, okay, like today I'm gonna try to branch out and talk to another athlete from another team. And now I have a friend on probably every team so far here, but just because, you know, just putting yourself out there. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to take on a tangent now. For the Seattle listeners, if they wanted to find some culture, something close to West African, where would you send them?
Where will I send them? Oh, Passes the Loft. Great place right here. That's one of the downtown now?
Gold Coast Gal Kitchen.
There's a really, I think it's Passes the Loft, one of them. There's one in downtown, yes, there's one in downtown open. Very nice place, really good food. Or Batana. Actually, I was there a couple of days ago. It was pretty good. Yeah, Batana is really good. It's a little bit up north, but it's definitely worth the drive.
Yeah.
Good food, good community, and like you said, and those places, when you go there, you can walk in. If you're a French speaker, you can walk in there and speak French and feel like right at home. Like this, you walked in there like you see something like an embassy. You walk in there, there's no difference. Like you feel like you just cross. There's no difference. Exactly.
I hear that.
Yeah. And also here in Seattle, there's sometimes some cultural event that's happening that celebrate also kind of the African culture, also just blackness in general. I know there's many events that happen here. So there's always avenue I find in Seattle that you can find community, you can find places that you can feel a little close to home, things like that. And also another point, and something that I experienced personally, I went to a study abroad in Ghana this past summer, and that was one life experience, like I had the best time of my life, especially because I haven't been to the African continent in over, since I got to the US. So for me, going back, it was amazing experience to see, and I was with some of my student athlete counterpart. It wasn't very important for them too, because then it was an opportunity for them to kind of reconnect with the lineage, reconnect with the African roots, and something that was really, really big. And I felt not only happy to be there, two, happy to share this culture with them as well, but also three, to support them throughout their own journey into self identity, so them finding their identity, finding their lineage, and just kind of opening up their mind a little bit and doors that there are other people that look like you. There are other people that are also successful that look like you, and it's not all the same. There's many different places, avenue, opportunities, and you go to the different country and they're happier than ever. Yes, they may not have the same resources or opportunities, but you go there and you're able to see that now they say they're living a happy life.
It's true. No, I mean, the perception of the continent Africa is very different to actually when you arrive there. It's rich in color, rich in culture. It's always really fun. I remember when I went back for the first time, it was like, I came in as like a little British boy, like eye open, like, oh my God, what is this place? And then bit by bit, my auntie started grabbing my arms and integrating me, and it was a fun, humbling experience. And then I always see these, I see on Spotify and on Instagram, people are posting playlists about like what to listen to. So if you had to recommend one song that's come out of the Cameroon for people to listen to, what would it be?
One song coming out of Cameroon?
Yeah. It could be an old artist, new artist. If you had to give someone a shout out.
Oh, this is a tricky one. So there's one song actually that I use during the African Cup for soccer. You probably know it's like really big. If I'm singing it, it's gonna be really bad. So I don't want to give credit. But just by following that, I think just if you watch soccer in the kind of African that about to start coming out really soon. You will see, I think around those events, there's always some music or some teams or from some artists that always kind of bring in that energy, that music to just kind of alleviate people's soul, alleviate people's happiness and just engagement in general. But there's that one song I can't remember. I put it on there, but if you can, just look it up.
Check out AFCON. Yeah. I think for me, if I was going to have to shout out something from Nigeria, music-wise, I would just encourage people to listen to Fela Kuti. It's just the godfather of Afro beats. Like people say Afro beats is, Fela Kuti was Afro beats. And everyone kind of came and followed after that. He set the tone and just phenomenal jazz artist. And he just really changed the kind of course for what we expect African music to sound like. And yeah, I'll tell someone during Black History Month to just check them out and then go with that. I think that's a good place to start. Yeah. Appreciate you for joining me today, man. Much love. Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.